The phone call came at 7:30 on a Tuesday evening in late October. I was in my kitchen, stirring a pot of butternut squash soup, when my daughter Emma's name lit up my screen. But it wasn't Emma's voice I heard when I answered. It was her 13-year-old daughter, my granddaughter Lily, and she was crying. "Grandma Carol," she sobbed. "I don't want to go to Dad's Halloween party. Please don't make me go." My heart clenched. My ex-husband Michael and I had been divorced for 8 years. He'd remarried 5 years ago to a woman named Vanessa, who was 15 years younger than me. I'd made my peace with it, I really had. But hearing my granddaughter cry because of something happening in that house brought back every protective instinct I'd ever had. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" I asked, turning down the burner and giving her my full attention. "She's doing your party, Grandma. She's doing your party." She sent out invitations with all the same things you always do. The haunted garden walk, the costume contest with your categories, even the Halloween recipe cook-off. And she's telling everyone she came up with it all herself. I stood there in my kitchen, wooden spoon in hand, and felt something shift inside me. For 23 years, I had hosted the neighborhood Halloween party. It had been my creation, my labor of love, my gift to our community. When Michael and I divorced, I'd kept the tradition alive in my new home. He'd never shown interest in hosting anything before, but apparently, his new wife had decided to claim my legacy as her own. That's when I realized something important. Vanessa had stolen more than just an idea. She'd stolen something that couldn't be replicated by copying a few activities. And she was about to learn a very valuable lesson about the difference between imitation and authenticity. My name is Carol Henderson, and I'm 62 years old. I've lived in Maple Ridge, a small town in upstate New York, for 35 years. It's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where the local diner still has a counter with red vinyl stools, and where people actually stop to chat on the sidewalk instead of hurrying past each other. I moved here with Michael when we were newlyweds, both of us fresh out of college and full of dreams. He was starting his career as an accountant. I was teaching second grade at Maple Ridge Elementary. We bought a small colonial on Elm Street with a big backyard and a wraparound porch. It needed work, but it was ours. Our daughter Emma came along 2 years later. She was the light of my life. Michael was a good father in those early years. He coached her soccer team. He helped with homework. He showed up, but somewhere along the way, he stopped showing up. Not physically. He was there in body, but the man I'd married, the one who used to dance with me in the kitchen and plan adventures for the three of us, that man disappeared into 60-hour work weeks and golf weekends and a distance I couldn't bridge no matter how hard I tried. The Halloween party started when Emma was 5 years old. I'd always loved Halloween. Not the scary, gory parts, but the magic of it, the creativity, the way it brought people together, the joy on children's faces. I wanted to create something special for our neighborhood, something that would build community and give families happy memories. That first year, it was simple. I invited about 15 families. We had a costume contest, bobbing for apples, and a bonfire in the backyard where we roasted marshmallows and told silly ghost stories. The kids loved it. The parents loved it. And I loved seeing everyone come together. Every year after that, I added something new. The haunted garden walk came in year 3. I transformed our backyard into a magical journey with different themed stations. Each station had activities, decorations, and treats. There was the Fairy Glen with twinkling lights and flower crowns, the Pirate Cove with a treasure hunt, the Wizard's Workshop with potion making using dry ice and food coloring, the Dragon's Lair with a photo booth. It took me months to plan and weeks to set up. I made detailed notebooks with ideas, sketches, and improvements. I collected decorations year-round from estate sales and craft stores. I recruited volunteers and created schedules. I tested recipes and activities with Emma. Michael helped with the heavy lifting, stringing lights, and building structures. But the heart of it, the soul of it, that was mine. By year 10, the party had become legendary in Maple Ridge. We were getting over 100 people. I'd added the costume contest with unique categories: Most Creative Homemade, Best Historical Figure, Best Pun, Best Group Theme, and Best Overall. I'd started the Halloween Recipe Cook-Off, where adults competed in categories like Best Caramel Apple Creation, Spookiest Dessert, and Most Creative Savory Dish. I created a committee of neighborhood women who helped me coordinate everything. There was Margaret, my neighbor of 30 years who managed the volunteers, Susan, who helped with decorations and had an eye for design, Patricia, who coordinated the food and made sure we had everything we needed, Linda, who handled the music and entertainment. These women became my closest friends. The party was more than just an event. It was a tradition that marked the passing of years. I watched neighborhood children grow up through these parties. I saw babies come in carriers and leave as toddlers, then kindergartners, then teenagers who volunteered to help. I saw neighbors become friends. I saw new families welcomed into our community. When Michael asked for a divorce 8 years ago, just after our 27th anniversary, I was devastated. He'd met someone at work, someone younger, someone who didn't have stretch marks or reading glasses or grey hair she touched up every 6 weeks, someone who didn't remind him that he was getting older. The divorce was brutal, not because of fighting, but because of the silence. The way he just checked out of our life together, like he was cancelling a subscription he no longer wanted. Emma was 32 by then, married to Jake, with Lily just 5 years old. She was heartbroken for me and furious with her father. Michael got to keep the house on Elm Street. I could have fought for it, but I didn't want to stay in that space, filled with memories of what we'd been and what we'd lost. I found a smaller Victorian house on Maple Street, just 6 blocks away. It had a beautiful backyard with mature trees and plenty of space for the Halloween party. The first year after the divorce, I almost didn't host the party. I was exhausted, emotionally drained, questioning everything. But Margaret came to my new house one afternoon in August and sat me down at my kitchen table. "Carol," she said, taking my hands in hers, "that party is yours. It's part of who you are. Don't let what he did take that away from you too." She was right. The party wasn't about Michael. It had never been about Michael. It was about community, about joy, about creating magic for people I cared about. So I hosted it. And it was wonderful. Different locations, same heart. Michael didn't host anything. He and Vanessa went on a Caribbean cruise that Halloween. They posted pictures of themselves on the beach with fruity drinks. Emma showed them to me, angry on my behalf. But I'd felt only relief. I had my party. He had moved on to his new life. We were separate, finally and truly. For 7 years, that's how it worked. I hosted the Halloween party every year. It continued to grow and evolve. 2 years ago, I'd started a charitable component. We collected canned goods for the local food bank and asked for donations to the Children's Hospital. Last year, we'd raised over $2,000. Michael and Vanessa did their own thing. They traveled. They went to adult costume parties at country clubs. They lived their child-free life. Until this year. The first sign something was different came in early September. I was at the Maple Ridge Farmers Market on a Saturday morning, buying fresh apples and pumpkins for early autumn decorating. I ran into Diane Morrison, one of the newer families on Michael Street. "Carol," she said, looking oddly uncomfortable. "I wanted to ask you something. We got this invitation, and I'm a little confused about the dates." She pulled out her phone and showed me a digital invitation. It was for a Halloween party at Michael's house. On October 28th, the same Saturday, I'd been hosting my party for 23 years. The same day I'd already sent save the dates for, back in July. But that wasn't what made my blood run cold. It was the details. Join us for the annual Haunted Garden Walk and Halloween Spectacular, it read. Featuring costume contest, Halloween recipe cook-off, Haunted Garden Experience with themed stations, and more. Hosted by Michael and Vanessa Henderson. October 28th, 6 to 9 p.m. I stared at the invitation. Every major element of my party was listed. Not similar ideas, my exact concepts. Even the timing and age range matched what I'd been doing. I thought maybe you two were hosting together, Diane said hopefully. Some kind of joint divorced couple thing? No, I managed to say. We're not hosting together. Oh. Diane looked mortified. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have assumed. Of course we'll come to your party like always. I thanked her and somehow made it through the rest of my shopping. But my hands were shaking as I loaded apples into my car. I drove home and immediately called Margaret. She did what? Margaret's voice rose about 3 octaves. Copied everything, I said, hearing my voice crack. The garden walk, the contest, the cook-off. Margaret, those are my ideas. I developed them over 20 years. That absolute... Margaret stopped herself. She was a retired school principal and rarely cursed. But I could hear the effort it took. Carol, what are you going to do? I don't know, I admitted. What can I do? I can't copyright a party concept. No, but you can make sure everyone knows the truth. Over the next few days, I learned the full extent of what Vanessa had done. She'd sent invitations to everyone in Michael's neighborhood, which overlapped significantly with mine. She'd posted on the community Facebook group, calling it a new neighborhood tradition. She'd even approached some of my committee members, asking them to help with her party. Susan called me, outraged. She came to my house, Carol. She asked if I wanted to volunteer to help decorate. She said she was bringing some fresh ideas to the neighborhood Halloween scene. I told her the only Halloween party I work on is yours, and shut the door in her face. Patricia had a similar story. She wanted my recipes, actually had the nerve to ask for my award-winning pumpkin cheesecake recipe, and my spooky meatball eyes. Said she wanted to make them for her cook-off. I told her those recipes were developed specifically for your party, and she'd have to come up with her own ideas. But not everyone was as loyal. I discovered that 3 families who usually came to my party had RSVP'd to Vanessa's instead. One of them, the Thompsons, lived on my street. When I saw Judy Thompson at the grocery store, she avoided eye contact. The worst part was learning how Vanessa had gotten the information. My daughter Emma told me, her voice tight with anger. Dad came to our house for dinner 2 weeks ago, Emma said. Lily had been talking about how excited she was for your party. She was showing him the costume she'd been planning for months. She told him all about the themes this year and what activities you were doing. Mom, she showed him her notebook, where she'd written down all the station ideas you'd told her about. I closed my eyes. My own granddaughter had innocently given Michael everything he needed, and he'd passed it all to Vanessa. Emma, I said carefully, your dad is your dad. I don't want you caught in the middle of this. Are you kidding me? Emma's voice was fierce. I'm already in the middle. He used my daughter to steal from you. That's not okay, Mom. That's really not okay. The following weekend, I went to the hardware store for supplies. While I was looking at outdoor lighting, I overheard 2 women talking in the next aisle. Are you going to the Henderson party? One asked. Which one? The other replied. Exactly. That's the problem. There are 2 now. The ex-wife has done it forever, but apparently the new wife is doing one too. Same night, same things. It's so awkward. I heard the new wife is younger and really creative. Fresh ideas, you know. Maybe it's time for something new. I stood there, holding a package of LED lights, feeling like I'd been punched. Fresh ideas, my ideas, stolen and rebranded as fresh. I left the store without buying anything. That night, I sat in my backyard, where I'd already started setting up decorations. The fairy lights were strung through the trees. The frames for the station structures were in place. 23 years of this party, and now someone was trying to erase me from my own creation. I called my committee together for an emergency meeting at my house. Margaret, Susan, Patricia, and Linda sat around my kitchen table, all of them angry on my behalf. "We should cancel on her," Patricia said. "Publicly, make a statement, or we should confront her," Susan suggested. "Go to her house and tell her exactly what she's doing wrong." But Linda, always the voice of calm reason, shook her head. "Those approaches will just make Carol look petty or vindictive. This needs to be handled carefully." "I don't know if I can do this," I admitted, voicing the fear I'd been carrying. "Maybe I should just cancel my party. Let her have it. I'm tired of fighting." "Carol Henderson, don't you dare," Margaret said firmly. "That party is yours. Your heart, your creativity, your work. You don't give that up because some woman decided to take a shortcut." "But what if no one comes?" I asked quietly. "What if everyone chooses hers instead?" The women looked at each other. Finally, Susan spoke. "Then we'll know who your real friends are." "But Carol, I don't think that's going to happen. People know who you are. They know what you've built." I wanted to believe her. I really did. The next day, I got a call from Emma. "Mom, I need to tell you something, and you're not going to like it." My stomach dropped. "What is it?" "Vanessa called me. She wanted to invite me and Jake and Lily to her party. She said it would mean a lot to Michael if his daughter and granddaughter were there to support this new tradition." "What did you say?" I asked, holding my breath. I told her I'd been going to your party for 37 years, since before I could walk, and I wasn't about to stop now. I told her what she did was wrong and hurtful. She acted like she had no idea what I was talking about. She said she just wanted to host a fun neighborhood party, and she didn't understand why everyone was making such a big deal about it. Did she really not understand? I asked. Or was she playing innocent? "Mom, I don't know." But what really bothered me was when she said, "Your mom doesn't own Halloween parties. Other people are allowed to host events too." Like you were being unreasonable for being upset. That comment haunted me. Was I being unreasonable? Did hosting a party for 23 years give me some kind of ownership over the concept? Or was I just a bitter ex-wife who couldn't stand to see her replacement succeed? I spent a sleepless night wrestling with those questions. In the early morning hours, I finally reached a conclusion. No, I didn't own the idea of Halloween parties. But Vanessa hadn't just decided to host a party. She had deliberately copied specific, unique elements that I had created and developed. She had scheduled it on my established date, and she had misrepresented these borrowed ideas as her own original concepts. That wasn't about me being possessive. That was about her being dishonest. 3 weeks before Halloween, I was leaving the post office when I saw Michael. We'd managed to avoid each other for most of the past 8 years, seeing each other only briefly at major family events. But there he was, standing by his car in the parking lot. "Carol," he said, nodding awkwardly. "Michael," I replied, moving toward my own car. "Wait," he called out. "Can we talk for a minute?" I turned back. He looked older than I remembered, more gray in his hair, lines around his eyes. For just a moment, I saw the man I'd married, and my heart ached for what we'd lost. "What do you want to talk about?" I asked. "The party situation," he said. "Vanessa told me you're upset. I wanted you to know that she didn't mean anything by it. She's just enthusiastic. She wanted to do something nice for the neighborhood." On my date, I said flatly, "Using my ideas. They're just party ideas, Carol. No one owns them. I created the haunted garden walk, Michael. I developed it over years. The specific stations, the flow, the way it works. That's mine. The costume contest categories, I came up with those. The recipe cook-off, that was my idea. Vanessa didn't come up with something nice. She took my work and put her name on it." He had the grace to look uncomfortable. She got some ideas from Lily. The kid was excited about your party and was talking about it. Vanessa thought it sounded fun, so she decided to copy all of it, schedule it the same night, and not even have the courtesy to ask me first or give me credit. "You're being dramatic," he said. And just like that, I saw why our marriage had failed. The dismissiveness. The way he made me feel like my feelings were an inconvenience. No, Michael. I'm being honest. But you know what? I'm done with this conversation. Tell Vanessa good luck with her party. She's going to need it. I got in my car and drove away, my hands gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles were white. That evening, Lily called me again. "Grandma, I'm so sorry. Mom told me that Dad and Vanessa got ideas from me. I didn't know. I was just excited and talking about your party. I didn't mean to help them steal from you." "Oh, sweetheart," I said, my heart breaking for her. "This is not your fault, not even a little bit. You were just being enthusiastic about something you love. That's beautiful. What they did with that information, that's on them, not you." "I don't want to go to their party," she said. "But Dad says I have to because it's his weekend with me." I took a deep breath. This was the hardest part. "Lily, your dad loves you. And sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do because family is complicated. You can go to their party. I won't be upset, but I'll miss your party," she said, crying again. "I've never missed your party." "I know, baby. I know." After I hung up, I cried. Not delicate tears, but big gulping sobs. I cried for my granddaughter caught in the middle. I cried for the party that had been my joy, now tainted by conflict. I cried for the marriage that had ended, and the friend I'd lost when Michael became my ex. And then I dried my tears, made myself a cup of tea, and went to my office, where I kept all my party planning materials. I pulled out my notebooks, my 23 years of ideas and refinements and hard-earned lessons, and I started to plan. If Vanessa wanted to copy my party, I'd let her. But she was about to discover something important. You can copy the recipe, but you can't copy the years of practice that make the cake rise just right. The revelation came to me 3 days later while I was going through my planning notebooks. I'd been looking at them with fresh eyes, trying to figure out what made my party special, beyond just the activities themselves. That's when I understood. The magic wasn't in the what, it was in the how. Anyone could set up a haunted garden walk, but I knew exactly how to position the stations for optimal flow. I knew which types of activities worked for which age groups and how to pace them. I knew that you needed quiet stations between the exciting ones, so kids didn't get overwhelmed. I knew which decorations held up in wind and weather, and which ones looked good but were disasters waiting to happen. Anyone could host a costume contest, but I knew how to make every child feel special, not just the winners. I knew to have surprise categories announced at the event so that kids who didn't win, planned categories still had chances. I knew how to word the announcements so that homemade costumes were celebrated as much as expensive store-bought ones. I knew which small prizes kids actually wanted versus the junk that ended up in the trash. Anyone could do a recipe cook-off, but I knew that you needed very specific guidelines, or you'd end up with 15 versions of the same thing. I knew that you had to have a separate kids' table with simpler treats, or they'd be overwhelmed. I knew exactly how much food to prepare, so there was plenty but not massive waste. I knew which serving vessels made food look appealing, and which made even delicious things look unappetizing. 23 years of experience, 23 years of learning from mistakes, 23 years of building relationships with vendors who gave me good prices on supplies, 23 years of volunteers who knew their roles and worked together seamlessly, 23 years of goodwill in the community. Vanessa had none of that. She had a copied list of activities and Michael's checkbook. I sat back in my chair, and for the first time since I'd heard about her party, I smiled. Not a bitter smile, but a real one. Because I realized something crucial. I didn't need to fight Vanessa. I didn't need to compete with her. I just needed to do what I'd always done. Host the best party I possibly could. The difference would speak for itself. I called my committee together again. This time, my energy was different. I wasn't defeated or angry. I was focused. Ladies, I said, spreading my notebooks across the table. We're going to host the best Halloween party we've ever done. Not because we're competing with anyone, but because we're celebrating 23 years of tradition, community, and love. Margaret grinned. Now that's the Carol I know. What do you need? We spent the next 3 hours going through every detail. I pulled out ideas I'd been saving, special touches I'd been planning to add. If this was going to be a statement party, it needed to be spectacular. Susan suggested we create a memory wall with photos from every year of the party. Show people the history, she said. Remind them of all the moments they've experienced here. Patricia proposed we add a special gratitude station where people could write notes about what the party had meant to them over the years. Make it emotional, she said. Make them remember why they come. Linda offered to create a special playlist with songs from each year of the party. Music is memory, she explained. When they hear those songs, they'll remember being here with their families. I added my own touch, a welcome sign that read, 23 years of magic, tradition, and community, with the dates of every party I'd hosted. We also made a crucial decision. We would not badmouth Vanessa's party. We would not tell people not to go. We would simply focus on making ours wonderful. Anyone who asked would get a simple, dignified response. We hope you'll join us for our 23rd annual party, but we understand if you have other plans. The next 2 weeks were a blur of preparation. I took time off from my part-time job at the library to focus completely on the party. I reached out to every volunteer from years past, and amazingly, they all said yes. I contacted the local newspaper and pitched them a story about 23 years of community tradition. The reporter, a young woman named Ashley, was immediately interested. I actually came to your party when I was a kid, she told me. My family moved away, but I remember it being magical. I'd love to do a feature story. Ashley came to my house and interviewed me. She asked about the history of the party, what it meant to the community, and why I'd continued it even after my divorce. I was honest with her about the challenges this year, though I kept my language neutral and dignified. There's another event the same night, I said. And that's fine. Halloween is for everyone, but I'm proud of what I've built over 23 years. And I'm excited to continue the tradition. The article ran 5 days before Halloween, with the headline, Local Woman's Labor of Love, 23 Years of Halloween Magic. It featured photos from different years of the party, showing how it had evolved. It quoted neighbors talking about their favorite memories. It positioned me as exactly what I was, a dedicated community member who had created something special through years of hard work. I didn't mention that the article also served another purpose. It established very clearly and publicly that this party was mine, that it had history, that the ideas weren't new or fresh, but time-tested traditions built over more than 2 decades. 3 days before Halloween, I ran into Judy Thompson again, the neighbor who'd avoided me at the grocery store. This time she approached me. Carol, she said, looking embarrassed. I need to apologize. We RSVP'd to the other party without really thinking about it. But then I read the article in the paper and I realized what we were doing. We'd like to come to your party instead, if that's okay. Of course it's okay, I said warmly. You're always welcome here. I feel terrible, she admitted. The new party just seemed exciting, something different. But you're right, it's not different. It's your party in a different location. 2 other families who'd planned to go to Vanessa's party called with similar messages. They were coming back to mine, but the real turning point came from an unexpected source. My ex-husband's sister, Karen, called me on the Tuesday before Halloween. Karen and I had been close during my marriage. After the divorce, we drifted apart, though there was no animosity. Carol, she said, I need to tell you something, and please don't think I'm betraying my brother, but what Vanessa is doing isn't right. Karen, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I've been watching this situation, and it's bothered me. Michael is my brother, and I love him, but he's making a mistake. He's letting his new wife disrespect you and the community. So I'm coming to your party, and I'm bringing my kids and grandkids, and I'm going to post about it on Facebook, so everyone knows where the Henderson family members, with any sense, are going to be. I was speechless. Karen, I don't want to cause problems with your brother. Michael can handle it. Carol, you were part of our family for almost 30 years. You still are, as far as I'm concerned. And this party, this is who you are. I'm not missing it to go to some copycat event. True to her word, Karen posted on Facebook the next day, counting down to the 23rd annual Halloween party at Carol Henderson's, a tradition my family has loved for over 2 decades. Can't wait to see the magic again this year. The post got over 100 likes and dozens of comments, from people sharing their favorite memories of my parties over the years. I heard through the grapevine that Vanessa was not pleased. Halloween weekend arrived with perfect weather. Clear, cool and crisp. The kind of autumn evening that made you believe in magic. I spent Friday setting up the final touches. The haunted garden walk was ready, each station better than I'd ever done before. The enchanted forest entrance had real fog machines and ambient sound. The Pirate Cove had an actual wooden boat structure that my neighbor Carl had built. The Wizard's Workshop had a potion-making station with dry ice effects that were genuinely impressive. The Dragon's Lair photo booth had professional quality backdrops and props. The memory wall was up, covered with photos from every year. Babies who were now college students, couples who'd met at these parties, families who had grown and changed. It was beautiful and emotional. The gratitude station was ready, with cards and pens for people to write their thoughts. I'd already added my own card, grateful for 23 years of community, friendship, and the joy of creating magic together. Saturday dawned bright and clear. I spent the day in a strange state of calm. I'd done everything I could. Whatever happened now was out of my hands. Emma came over at noon with Lily. My granddaughter was staying with Emma for the weekend, a custody schedule adjustment that Jake had somehow arranged with Michael. Lily threw her arms around me. Grandma! I get to come to your party after all. I'm so glad, sweetheart, I said, hugging her tight. Did you bring your costume? She had. She was going as Amelia Earhart, complete with leather jacket, goggles, and a small model plane. She'd made most of it herself. I knew she'd win most creative homemade. At 4 o'clock, my committee arrived. We did our final walkthrough together. These women who'd stood by me through everything. Carol, Margaret said, looking around at the transformed backyard. This is extraordinary. Your best work yet. Our best work, I corrected. I couldn't do any of this without you. At 5:30, early families started arriving. The Johnsons with their 4 kids, the Patels with their twin toddlers, the Rodriguez family with their teenagers who'd been coming since they were in strollers. Each family was greeted by name, welcomed like the old friends they were. By 6:15, the party was in full swing. The yard was packed. The haunted garden walk had a line of excited children waiting to enter. The music played. The laughter rang out. It was everything a Halloween party should be. At 6:30, I was standing near the welcome table when I saw Ashley, the newspaper reporter, arrive with a photographer. Carol, she called. I hope you don't mind. My editor wanted follow-up photos for a weekend feature. This is incredible. I gave her permission to photograph the event, and she disappeared into the crowd with her camera. At 7 o'clock, Karen arrived with her family. She made a point of hugging me in front of everyone. 23 years and you're still creating magic, she said loudly. This is what real tradition looks like. People heard, people noticed, and people talked. At 7:30, Susan came to find me, her expression odd. Carol, you need to see this. She showed me her phone, open to the community Facebook group. Someone had posted about Vanessa's party. The post read, "At the new Halloween party. It's nice, but everything feels kind of chaotic. The activities aren't really organized. Long lines and confused volunteers. I think they expected fewer people. My kids are having an okay time, but keep asking when we can do the real stations, like at Ms. Carol's party." Another comment below, it said, "We left after 30 minutes. The haunted garden was literally just a path through the yard with some decorations. No activities, no magic. Felt bad for the hosts, but this was clearly over their heads." I looked up at Susan. "Is it wrong that I don't feel bad for them?" "Nope," Susan said. "Sometimes people need to learn lessons the hard way, but the real moment of justice came at 8 o'clock. I was helping judge the costume contest when I saw a car pull up. Michael's car. He got out, and so did Vanessa. They stood at the edge of my property, looking at the party, looking at the crowds of happy people, looking at the elaborate decorations and the smooth flow of activities, looking at everything they tried to copy and failed to recreate. I excused myself from the judging and walked over to them. I didn't go to the edge of my property. I made them come into my space. Michael. Vanessa, I said calmly. Are you here for the party? Vanessa looked on the verge of tears. Her makeup was smudged. Her hair, which had been perfectly styled in her Facebook photos, was disheveled. We didn't realize, she started. You thought it would be easy, I said, not unkindly but firmly. You thought you could copy a list of activities and recreate what I've built. But you didn't understand that it's not about the activities. It's about experience and relationships and years of learning how to make it all work. Our party was a disaster, she admitted, her voice small. Nothing went right. We ran out of food in the first hour. The decorations fell apart. The activities didn't make sense. People kept comparing it to yours. By 7 o'clock, most people had left. Michael put his hand on her shoulder, but he was looking at me. Carol, I owe you an apology. A real one. What we did was wrong. I knew it was your party concept, your ideas. I should have stopped it. Yes, I agreed. You should have. Can we? Vanessa started, then stopped. Could we possibly stay? I'd like to see how it's supposed to be done. I looked at her for a long moment. She was young, probably 35. She'd made a mistake born of insecurity and a desire to prove herself. And she was genuinely sorry. You can stay, I said. But Vanessa, I need you to understand something. This party exists because I spent 23 years building it. 23 years of trial and error, of learning, of creating relationships. You can't shortcut that. You can't copy it and expect the same results. Real tradition, real community events, they're built on authenticity and time. I understand now, she said quietly. I really do. They stayed for an hour, watching from the sidelines. I saw Vanessa taking notes. I saw Michael looking at me with something that might have been regret. But mostly, I saw them understanding what they'd tried to take. At 9 o'clock, as the party was winding down, I gathered everyone together for the closing ceremony, something I'd started doing 5 years earlier. We stood in a circle, all of us, and I went around asking people to share one thing they were grateful for. Children said they were grateful for candy and games. Parents said they were grateful for community and tradition. Teenagers said they were grateful for memories and belonging. When it came to me, I looked around at all these faces. Many of them I'd known for decades. I'm grateful, I said, for 23 years of being part of this community, for the honor of creating something that brings joy, and for the reminder this year that real value can't be copied. Only built through time and dedication and love. The crowd applauded. Several people were crying. I might have been crying too. As people were leaving, dozens of them stopped to hug me and thank me. Many of them filled out gratitude cards. I read them later, and they were beautiful. This party has been part of my children's childhood for 8 years. Thank you for this tradition. Coming here every year feels like coming home. Thank you for creating this magic. My family moved to Maple Ridge 6 years ago. This party was how we met all our neighbors. Thank you for welcoming us. The newspaper article about the party ran on Monday with the headline, "Community Tradition Thrives. 23rd Annual Halloween Party Proves Some Things Are Worth the Wait." It featured photos of the crowded, joyful event and included quotes from attendees about what the party meant to them. There was no mention of Vanessa's party. It had been so poorly attended and so short-lived that it didn't make the community news. The week after Halloween brought unexpected peace. The party was over, my point had been made, and life could return to normal. But the story wasn't quite finished yet. On Wednesday, I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, it was Vanessa. "Carol," she said. "I'm calling to apologize properly, not just for the party, but for how I approached the whole thing. I was trying to prove something, and I ended up being disrespectful to you and to your work. I appreciate that," I said, and I meant it. I wanted you to know that I posted on the community Facebook group. I explained that I'd tried to recreate your party without permission and that it was wrong. I apologized publicly for any confusion or conflict it caused, and I made it clear that you are the originator of this wonderful tradition. I checked Facebook after we hung up. She had indeed posted a thoughtful, genuine apology. The comments were overwhelmingly supportive of both her willingness to admit fault and protective of me and my work. On Friday, Emma brought Lily over for our usual grandmother-granddaughter afternoon. While we were baking cookies, Lily said, "Grandma, Dad talked to me about what happened." "Oh." I kept my voice neutral, rolling out dough. "He said he made a mistake and hurt you. He said sometimes grown-ups do dumb things because they're not thinking about how it affects other people. He said he was sorry and that your party was special because you worked hard to make it special." I put down the rolling pin and looked at my granddaughter. "Your dad is a good man who made a mistake. We all do that sometimes. What matters is learning from it. He said he wants to help you next year with the heavy stuff, like he used to." That surprised me. What do you think about that? Lily considered it seriously. "I think it would be good. You were married for a really long time. You should still be friends." Out of the mouths of babes. A week later, I got a letter in the mail, handwritten, on nice stationery. It was from Michael. "Dear Carol," it read. "I've been thinking about how to say this for a while now. What happened with the party forced me to confront some things I've been avoiding. I never appreciated what you put into that event. When we were married, I thought you were just throwing a party. I didn't understand the planning, the creativity, the community building, the work. I didn't understand a lot of things about what you contributed to our life together. The party situation made me realize that I took you for granted in many ways. I let someone copy and diminish your work because I didn't value it properly. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for a lot of things. I hope we can find a way to be friendly as we move forward. For Emma and Lily's sake, and maybe because we were friends once, a long time ago, I'd like to help with the party next year if you'll have me. Not as a host, but as support. The way I should have been all along. With respect and apology, Michael." I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer to think about. Some things required consideration. At Christmas, our family gathered at Emma's house as we did every year. Michael and Vanessa came for a few hours. It was awkward, but less so than previous years. Vanessa shook my hand and looked me in the eye when she said, Merry Christmas Carol. Progress. In January, I started planning the 24th annual Halloween party. I pulled out my notebooks and began adding new ideas, building on what had worked and fixing what hadn't. I scheduled the first committee meeting for February, and I sent Michael an email. If you're serious about helping with setup, we'll need strong backs for building structures. In late September, let me know if you're available. He responded within an hour. I'll be there. Thank you for the second chance. I didn't know if we'd ever truly be friends again. Too much had happened. Too much had changed. But we could be friendly. We could be respectful. We could coexist in our community and in our family without conflict. And maybe that was enough. The real resolution, though, came from something else. In February, I got a call from the Maple Ridge Community Center. They'd seen the newspaper articles about my party. They wanted to know if I'd be interested in teaching a class on community event planning. We've had so many people asking how to create events that bring neighborhoods together. The director explained. You've done it successfully for over 20 years. Would you share your knowledge? I said yes. The class started in March. 12 people enrolled. I taught them about planning, organization, volunteer coordination, and community building. I shared my notebooks. I gave them my vendor contacts. I explained the lessons I'd learned through years of mistakes and successes. At the end of the 6-week course, one of the students, a young mother named Jessica, approached me. Carol, I want to start a neighborhood summer picnic tradition. Your class showed me that I could actually do it. You've inspired me to create something lasting for my community. And that's when I understood the real victory. It wasn't about defeating Vanessa or proving I was right. It was about the fact that my work had value beyond just one party. It had value to teach, to inspire, to help others create their own traditions. What I'd built over 23 years couldn't be copied in one night because it was built on genuine passion, accumulated knowledge, and authentic relationships. But the principles behind it, the dedication to community, the love of creating joy, that could be shared. That could be a legacy. As I sit here now, planning my 24th annual Halloween party, I've had a lot of time to reflect on what happened last year. The hurt I felt, the anger, the fear that something I loved was being taken from me, and ultimately, the satisfaction of watching authenticity triumph over imitation. But more than anything, I've thought about what the experience taught me about value, dignity, and the difference between what can be copied and what can only be built. Here's what I learned. Your work has worth. The things you create, the effort you put in, the years you dedicate to building something special, those have value. And it's okay to protect that value. It's okay to feel hurt when someone tries to take credit for your work. That's not being petty or possessive. That's being human and recognizing that your time, creativity, and dedication matter. But I also learned that the best defense of your work is simply continuing to do it well. When you know your worth, when you're confident in what you've built, you don't need to tear others down. You just need to keep being excellent at what you do. The truth speaks for itself. I learned that community is built on authenticity. People can sense when something is genuine versus when it's performative. They can tell the difference between someone who's been showing up consistently for years and someone who's just trying to claim credit quickly. Trust and respect are earned through time and dedication, not shortcuts. I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or condoning. Michael and Vanessa did something wrong. They hurt me, but holding on to that anger would have hurt me more than it hurt them. Accepting their apologies and allowing a path forward wasn't about excusing what they did. It was about freeing myself from the burden of bitterness. I learned that you can be strong and gracious at the same time. I didn't have to choose between standing up for myself and being kind. I could be firm about my boundaries and my worth while still treating others with dignity. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Most importantly, I learned that the things we create with love have a life beyond just us. That Halloween party started as my project, but it became something bigger. It became part of our community's identity. It became memories for hundreds of families. It became a tradition that will outlast me, and that's the real victory. Creating something that matters, something that brings joy, something that builds connections between people. To anyone facing a similar situation, whether it's someone taking credit for your work, trying to copy something you've built, or disrespecting your contributions, I want to say this: don't shrink yourself. Don't give up what you've created just because someone else wants to take it. Stand firm in your worth. Do what you do with excellence, and trust that authenticity always reveals itself in the end. You don't need to fight dirty or be cruel. You don't need to stoop to levels that compromise your integrity. You just need to keep being excellent at what you do and let that excellence speak for itself. And if you're someone who's ever been tempted to take a shortcut, to copy someone else's work, to claim credit for ideas that aren't yours, please reconsider. Not just because it's wrong, though it is, but because you're cheating yourself. The real satisfaction comes from building something yourself, from earning the respect and recognition through your own work. The easy path might seem appealing, but it's hollow. And eventually, that hollowness shows. As for me, I'm planning station number 7 for this year's Haunted Garden Walk. It's going to be a fairy tale library with story time and interactive story creation. I've been working on it since November, researching and testing ideas. It'll take months to perfect. It'll take dozens of hours to set up. And it'll be worth every minute, because that's what love looks like. Not the romantic kind, but the love of creating something meaningful, of serving your community, of building joy for others. That's a love that can't be stolen or copied. It can only be lived day by day, year by year, Halloween after Halloween. And that's the most important lesson of all. The things that truly matter. Authenticity, dedication, community, love, those can't be faked or rushed. They have to be built, carefully and intentionally, over time. And when you build something that way, something with genuine heart and purpose, it becomes unshakable. It becomes yours in a way that transcends ownership. It becomes part of who you are. So here's to building things that matter, to standing up for yourself with grace, to creating traditions that outlast us, to communities built on genuine connection, and to the quiet, powerful satisfaction of knowing that your work has worth, your contributions matter, and your legacy is secure. 24 years and counting. And I'm just getting started. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more tales of justice, redemption, and the quiet power of living authentically.